Hey there. So today I'm going to be reacting to Final Fantasy History from Larryzaur. My chat actually recommended this to me, and I'm actually really interested. A lot of the stuff chat's been recommending has been pretty good in terms of Final Fantasy videos. Usually chats aren't good, so this is surprising. So I'm actually really excited to get into this and brush up on the history of a game that I started playing a few months ago.
Hello! Yep, today I'm gonna tell you all about the history of Final Fantasy XIV. For instance, did you know that Bard LB3 used to be the healer LB3? That's right.
What?
When a Bard did LB3, they would raise the entire party. Pretty cool! In order
Wait a minute. That was the Bard RB3? What's the in-universe explanation for that? Excuse me? It's like, I will play my instrument so good you rise from the dead.
to unlock the job, you used to have to level another job to level 15.
Oh, we were
For
just talking
instance,
about
to
that,
get
chat.
Black Mage, you would have to get Thaumaturge to level 30 and Archer to level 15. And not only that, but all of these role abilities here, they used to be called cross-class abilities, and you would unlock them from leveling up other jobs and getting their skills. For instance, Swiftcast came from Black Mage level 26. So if you were a healer, you had to level Black Mage in order to have Swiftcast raise level 26. And
That's wild, because it's not even just, hey, you have to level it to 15 to get their ability. You have to level it to like 28? That's wild. Bar plays music so terrible, everyone rises back to life to turn it off. Exactly.
Dragoon had blood for blood, but that worked on all the melees, so all the other melees had to level Dragoon to get the damage buff. Provoke was a paladin ability. You could only get it from paladin.
Taunting was exclusive to paladins. Are you kidding me?
Or you
That's like a
didn't
basic
have
tank
provoke.
mechanic.
This video is sponsored by Ragnarok Origin. Link in the description below. Welcome to Ragnarok Origin, where the fantasy becomes reality. This
Ooh,
epic
fantasy becomes reality.
MMORPG on
It's an ad
mobile
read,
has
y'all.
begun pre-registration. Enter in a fantasy open world and discover
I have literally
mysterious
never heard of this
fun
game.
and evil secrets hidden in this magical adventure. It's got infinite character customization.
Infinite.
Customize and upgrade your weapons, armor, magic abilities, and more to match your playstyle and defeat your
This looks like an
opponents.
old,
And look
like,
at this art.
PS2
It's so
RPG.
nice. Who wouldn't want to live a heroic fantasy life? What anime should I watch? Do I still watch anime? Of course.
Of course.
Yes. This is an MMO for anime fans. So if Ragnarok
An
Origin
MMO
looks
for anime
interesting to you,
fans.
go
That's
visit
pretty
the
much every
pre-registration
MMO,
site in
right?
the link in the description below and pre-register today. And they're even giving away a Tesla Model S. So yeah, I think that might be worth it.
Why are they?
And healers
what?
used
What
to
a
have this
weird
thing
partnership.
called Cleric
What a
Stance.
weird partnership. Just like a mobile game and Tesla. What? It seems such like a random partnership. What do they you can buy the subscription with Dogecoin too? Like what the fuck? And you know what? Sold. Best ad read I've ever heard.
I'm not talking about the old cleric stance that would buff your damage. No. I'm talking about old cleric stance. The one where you would have to push a button and then swap between heal mode and DPS mode. Let's say I push a button. Okay, I'm in cleric stance. Now all of my DPS skills actually do damage, right? But all my heals don't heal. So now if I have to heal somebody, I have to pop cleric stance off
You did
and then heal them. And
stance
this was
as a
freaking
healer?
great. You could tell people, no man, I can't heal you right now. I'm in cleric stance. Yeah, they should probably
That's
they should bring that
ludicrous.
back. I
They
think
can even
everybody would
stand
really like
stance.
that. Yeah, here's a fun one. Gear used to have accuracy stats on it, and you would need a minimum accuracy in order to even hit the boss.
Yep, they
Yeah,
had
there was a
that in,
different number for the
Then in
front.
World of Warcraft too, where you actually had individual skills in each weapon that you had to level up. With the only thing you could really do is just using the weapon. And if you didn't have a high enough like axe skill, you could barely even hit anything.
The rear and the side. Yeah, so if you were a tank and you didn't meet the front accuracy requirement, guess what? All your hits miss and you don't keep aggro. Yeah, so you would have to build your entire gear set around making sure you hit accuracy cap. It sucked.
God.
And we didn't always look this beautiful and amazing. Yeah, in the beginning of the game, we didn't have glamours. Yeah, we looked like this. You know, a tome chest, hands from a raid, boots from a dungeon. Yeah.
That's the MMO experience, baby. You know, low level, getting gear that looks like it was like copy pasted onto you, and then you're like, oh man, I found my first shoulder blades, and they're like these little dinky things.
one might actually be the biggest quality of life change. Yeah, in raids, when you wiped, your cooldowns did not reset. So if you pulled and somebody hit hollowed ground and they needed it, and then everybody died, you had to wait the 7 minutes for hollowed ground to come back. Your cooldowns resetting sped up prog so much. Oh yeah, and if you died, you lost your food buff. Yeah, every time you died, you had to put
I forgot food buff was a thing. I should probably
If any
use
group had a
food.
bard, which most did, dragoons were required because they would give a piercing debuff to the boss, and that would buff the
By
bard's.
the way, all these golden weapons, are these like him flexing on us? I'm imagining it is. I'm assuming you have to just be very impressive to get these. But like, holy moly, he's had it on every class so far. Yes, it is a flex. All right, just being suddenly flexed on. I got you. Ultimate weapons? Yeah, he's flexing. Oh god.
Damage. Also, there used to be 3 bars. There, we had HP, MP, and TP.
I've
and
heard
the
about
physical
TP.
jobs would all work off of TP. And yeah, guess what? Whenever you push sprint, you would use up your entire TP gauge, and you wouldn't be able to attack anymore. Pretty good for casters and healers, though, because they used MP. Oh, yeah, and dying would reduce all of your stats. So the more you died, your health would get lower, too.
I could never play
which
this
really
game.
did not end up helping your
I died
cause,
so
because
much.
it just became easier to die then. Overall, tanks had to do a lot more managing with their enmity than they do now. Actually, everybody in the whole party would kind of help out, especially ninjas. They had an ability where...
Yeah, I see there's like some holdover of that in some of the mechanics I've seen. They're like transferring aggro. It feels almost useless nowadays because you can just hold unlimited aggro as a tank. But I feel like those skills might be a holdover from older times. Those are the ultimate Bahamut weapons? Oh, gotcha.
where they could give their enmity to the tank, and they actually had an ability where they could reduce somebody else's enmity, including the tank. And of course, asking the black mage to make sure they did quelling strikes before they used all their explosions, that was very common. Otherwise, the boss would go whoop and kill the black mage. You know, melees still cry about...
I'm just imagining like a big old boss, tank screaming at it, and then like a little fireball hitting its leg. And the boss just turning, squishing the black mage and going back to fighting.
positionals now, but back in the day, if you missed a positional, you broke your combo. Dots wouldn't happen, the buffs wouldn't happen if you didn't get the positional. Yeah, it was way worse. Your whole rotation would be messed up.
I feel like
this
the
is
game
pretty
just sounds more clunky
Titan
back then,
Eggy
which
used to
makes
be able
sense.
to be a tank. Yeah, it made a lot more sense. And he had a health bar. They don't have health bars anymore. In fact, there was a whole strat surrounding that. This fight was way too hard for the tanks at the time, so we would just bring Titan Eggy, and Titan Eggy would tank remove. Reason being is he didn't have to do the tank mechanics. But yeah, Square Enix did not like that, so
Yeah, I imagine
they nerfed
being able to
Titan.
just like have a summoner go, hee hee, I'm the tank now. Hello, Razor? I didn't ask for you. I just got jump scared by Razor.
Eggy after that. Something about wanting the tanks to be able to play the game. I mean, summoners back then were even able to solo extreme fights because of Titan. So yeah, don't worry, Titan Eggy. I'm sure someday you'll do something good again. So you know how with Scholar, they have two fairies, Eos and Selene? You might be wondering what's the difference. Right now there's not a difference, but there used to be a big one. So Eos used to be the healer-focused fairy. It did a lot of AoE regens and buffs. But Selene, on the other...
So you're telling me Summoner gets to summon a cute fairy. Is that what we're saying? Is that what we're saying here? That I should play a Summoner so I can have a cute fairy GF I can summon?
Other hand was the DPS fairy,
Scholar.
specifically because it
Gotcha.
gave everybody haste. Yeah, Selene was the best, especially for black mages. We freaking love Selene. Yeah, but she doesn't do that anymore, so
Pick your
bye.
favorite magical girl.
You used to be able to assign points to your attributes. So like you would put 30 points into strength or 30 points into intelligence, right? So if you wanted to be able to play both Scholar and Summoner, whenever you swapped, you need to buy this item that would reset your stat allocation points between mind and intelligence. Yeah, back in the day, you couldn't actually just queue up for raids in the Duty Finder. You had to go to where the raid was physically located.
Yeah, that's
with
an
your whole
old
party
time
of 8
MMO
people
thing.
physically here and queue up at the location. Yeah, and
And
this
then you get
meant
the
that
summoning stone to summon your buddies, and like no, you have to have 2 of them there, and one of them doesn't come. And you can see that I used to play World of Warcraft a lot, and my brain makes me angry at those old days.
all of the raiders on the server would be here during raid night. You know, reset would happen. There would be people sitting here waiting for their raid to start, or there'd be people over here jumping up and down naked asking for a raid group. You know,
it
was simple times,
but
very
also
simple times. And this would change depending on the tier. Like this is where second coil was, and right over this way, this is where the final coil was. You see this entrance right here. This is where everybody would be. Oh yeah, and by the way, cross world party finder was not a thing. You could only raid with the people that were on your server. So again, that's why all the raiders were here.
You see, and that's the best change that happened. Now I can hang out with you guys in game. Just come over and hang out with me, play some raids. It's great.
On raid night, and if you weren't here on raid night, you couldn't raid. But I mean, now we have a full party finder, and you're gonna be able to find a raid no matter what time of day. So ultimately, it's better for the game that way. You know how all of our raids nowadays are called Savage? It'll say Savage difficulty, and that's the end game raid. Well, back in A Realm Reborn, the coils were Savage. They just didn't have that naming convention yet. These were the end game raids. And when you see a second coil Savage, these were super hard. Their whole idea of making these was how mean can we be? And in these older raids, since they have trash mobs in between the entrance and the boss, you would have—
Come to Summoner side play. We can cast while running Scooty Puff Jr., the caster with the cute rabbit bunny. Maybe. I mean, I can summon a cute fairy GF. Might as well
have somebody join a party earlier on in the week to go in and clear the trash, and that would get you a shortcut. So that way, when you did have raid time during that week, you could just use the shortcut and start attacking the boss right away. We don't have to do that anymore because now raids are just, you know, you queue in, you're at the boss. And it's unfortunate, but like these older raids, like Coil especially, you can never fight it like how it used to be. Even with minimum item level on and no echo, the fight is nerfed from its original state. They don't do this anymore, but they did at the time. Every patch after a raid would come out, they would nerf the previous tier. For instance, in this fight, a Reynad, if it hit you, you would die. One shot, you're dead. And then all of the petrification mechanics in this fight, if you petrified your teammate or somebody else petrified you and you got hit by anything while you were petrified, no matter how much damage it did, you died. Another really cool thing with this fight was that you needed to get a kiter. You see this tether going from me to the Reynad there? You needed a specific person in the raid team to do this job, and it would usually be a summoner. So the party finders would always be like, need summoner, need a kiter, because the kiter would bring the Reynad over here and they would slow it down with their dot, and then the healers would freeze it in place. And you would do that with 4 Reynads, and eventually they just wouldn't spawn anymore. Fun fact with that, in the Savage version of Turn 7, the Reynads keep coming, and there's 2 of them at a time. Yeah, the way that they designed Turn 7 Savage was they looked at how we did strats and how we cheese things, and then made it impossible for us to cheese it anymore. Now, in turn...
That's not even like PvE anymore. That's player versus developer right there. Developer's like, all right, you made a mechanic and you made a way to get out of mechanic. Fuck you. You can't do that anymore.
Turn 2, there was this really funny strat. Because Allegan Rot was too hard and nobody wanted to do it, that's the debuff that you gotta pass around, otherwise you explode. What you would do instead was wait for the enrage timer. 12 minutes, and you would bring in 3 healers, and you would pull ADS just as it enraged, and then you would just heal through all the damage that it did instead. See, charge complete in 10 clicks. Gotta wait for 0 clicks. 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes. Oh, there it is.
He's angry.
Charge
Look
complete.
Look
Now
how
we pull.
angry
It's
he
enraged.
is.
Yep, this was much easier to deal with than doing Rot. He just keeps doing this AoE over and over and over again. But you would need 3 healers spam healing you over and over to live. Also, Mordona in general didn't always look like this. Yep, there used to be a big tree here. Not sure why they took that out. Everybody would stand up here.
They took a
You would
tree
show off
out?
your really cool gear by standing.
Square Enix up here deforesting our cities? How could you? Player versus Dev was the final days of 1.0. Oh man, I saw a documentary about the ending of 1.0 going into Realm Reborn. Oh, they just like spawned so much stuff. It was so cool.
Standing right here, or maybe even a mount, right? You're like, oh, I earned this really awesome mount. Oh, that actually kind of worked out. And you just sit right here with it and show everybody. But actually, the greatest part about Mordona was this secret little glitch over here. You could do this, bada bing, bada boom, jump up here. jump over this way. Crap.
F,
Go over
F and
here.
chat.
Jump across that. Jump onto this rope. And look, now I'm on this rope. See,
Parkour.
isn't this nice? Yeah, it's really cool. Great view up here, but it's not that special anymore because we can just fly. So yeah, and yeah, that's it. Actually, there's probably a lot of different things I could go on about the history of Final Fantasy 14.
This
and
is
maybe I
awesome.
will
He's so
another time, but
knowledgeable
for now,
about
that's
this.
all I've got.
Plus,
so thank you
he's
so much. I will
constantly
see you guys
flexing
in the
on us
next
to show how
one.
much
Okay,
he's
bye.
played. That was awesome. Well, when I saw like Final Fantasy history, I didn't even know what to think. Maybe just like going through the history of the story or like development, but it was like a history of the mechanics over the years, which is really cool. Because I mean, I started in last November, so I've not experienced anything besides Endwalker, you know. So hearing about all these old mechanics of um these mechanics that were kind of hard to stomach, like, you know, not having the party finder, you know, having to stand by the dungeons, having extra resource bar. It just kind of brings me back to when I used to play World of Warcraft as a kid, where everything was just kind of clunky and it didn't feel smooth at all. But like stuff came of that made the community better. I don't know. It's a really cool video. It makes me see how, you know, similar they were back in the day and how they've kind of grown apart over time. It's really cool.